He was warned. We were all warned. But Gavin Newsom, California's poster boy for progressive power, ignored it all. The riots, the crime, the chaos in his own backyard. And when Mel Gibson, yes, that Mel Gibson of California, Hollywood, broke ranks and dropped a raw, unfiltered video blasting Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, well, they brushed it off like any other celebrity outburst. But now, after the largest U.S. airstrike in history just crushed Iran's nuclear program, the military bases around the world are on high alert. That video, it's haunting the White House because what started as a warning from Hollywood has now become a prophecy America cannot afford to ignore. Tonight, guys, this morning, this afternoon, whenever you happen to be watching this video, I'm going to be exposing the dangerous connection between Gavin Newsom's failures in California, because there's multiple failures, the growing threat from Iran, and why President Trump's administration is now treating these domestic disasters as national security liabilities. Oh, and of course, we will be diving deep into what Mel Gibson actually said, why California's lawlessness is emboldening foreign enemies, and how this one moment might change the 2026 election. Midterm elections coming up, guys, and the future of America itself. Was Gavin Newsom's silence a mistake or something far worse? And what's the one message from Mel Gibson's video that they're now scrambling to suppress? Oh, we got to talk about that, guys, because by the end of today's video, you're gonna see exactly why that particular warning was never meant to stay in California and why it's now echoing through the halls of the White House. Hey, guys, if you appreciate the daily news updates, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. I absolutely, totally do appreciate your support. Now, it was started as just another post on social media up until the man in the video turned his fury toward the California governor's mansion. And all of a sudden, millions of Americans stopped scrolling and they started listening. That man, ladies and gentlemen, was Mel Gibson. And what he said wasn't scripted. It wasn't for laughs. It wasn't a movie. It was a blistering takedown of Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, LA Mayor Karen Bass, if you guys aren't aware of who she is, for what he called the total collapse of leadership in California. He didn't tiptoe. He didn't hedge. He raged. And he called it what it is: lawlessness, civil unrest, incompetence, total failure. And here's the moment that broke the internet. Why are they still in office? Can anybody answer that, guys? Why are these guys still in office? That one line hit a nerve. Let me know if it hit a nerve for you. But it hit a nerve, but not just in California, but across the entire country. Because when a man like Mel Gibson, who sees the inner workings of power and fame, breaks ranks and tells the truth, oh, you better pay attention. And this is what America has been waiting for. But what did Gavin Newsom do? Well, he shrugged, he dismissed it, he ignored it, just like he ignored every warning for the last, 5 years? And now let's go ahead and rewind and talk about what led us here, shall we? So California has been spiraling, not quietly and not slowly, but in full view of the world. And you had anti-ICE riots turning downtown Los Angeles into a war zone. Many of you have seen the clips. Protesters setting cars on fire, mob violence spilling in the neighborhoods, police vehicles smashed while officers stood down. And this wasn't a one-off event. In fact, I'm sure some of you guys watching this video might live close to California. So just weeks before that, there was a 1,000-person illegal warehouse party that essentially devolved into a rampage, okay? Check this out. Crowds vandalized businesses, terrorized residents, and destroyed property, all while law enforcement was told to stand down. This wasn't law enforcement's failure. This was leadership's failure. Okay, guys? Leadership that tells its police, don't interfere, let them burn it down. Leadership that calls federal law enforcement the enemy while welcoming these violent criminals to remain on U.S. soil. And while all of this unfolded in the streets, Gavin Newsom, he was more concerned with social media optics, posts, like counts, and climate talking points than with the actual collapse of order. You've got skyrocketing poverty going on out there. You've got the highest taxes in the country And families are fleeing the state of California in record numbers. But Gavin Newsom's focus? Banning plastic straws, pushing radical gender policies in school, eliminating gas-powered cars by 2035, shielding violent offenders under the sanctuary state umbrella. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, regular people, middle class, they're suffering. And no one in power seems to give a damn. So this is exactly why Mel Gibson's video exploded, because he didn't say what the elites are saying. He said what Americans are feeling every single day. We're not safe. Our communities are out of control, and the people who are supposed to protect us are the ones who are destroying us. Guys, that came straight from Mel Gibson. Those aren't even my words. And so when this kind of truth comes from a man with millions of followers, who's not afraid to speak against the Hollywood narrative, you better believe the political class, not even the chaos, guys. You better believe that the political class took notice, okay? But Gavin Newsom, of course, he didn't take it seriously. He ignored it. I think we're seeing this pattern quite a bit from Gavin Newsom, aren't we? He ignores everything, anything that's important, just like he ignored the fires, right? Didn't he ignore the fires? Just like he ignored in fact, he ignored Trump's warning just prior to his return to the White House on his second term. Oh, just like Gavin Newsom ignored the ice alerts. How about how he ignored the collapse of his own cities? Oh, and now his failures are echoing beyond California. Because just this week, in fact, the crisis escalated from state level collapse to international conflict. Guys, President Trump, now back in office, facing the very threats that festered under Joe Biden, he was forced to act. The largest U.S. airstrike in modern history just hit 3 of Iran's nuclear sites, and now our military bases are on red alert for retaliation. And it all loops back to the same theme. When you ignore the warnings, the chaos comes anyway. It just hits harder. And so now it's the White House that's feeling the heat. Now, if you yourself are helping a parent or loved one with Medicare, this is something you need to know. Paulette Diener, she called Chapter on behalf of her son. She said they helped fix a Medicare mess that we've been dealing with for over a year. It was a blessing. Marianne Comney, she said Chapter is fantastic. My guy Vance is a hero in my eyes. Listen up, guys. Whether you're the one that's enrolled or maybe you're helping someone who is enrolled in Medicare, Chapter makes the process simpler, kinder, and way more affordable. In fact, the average senior is saving $1,500 a year. It's amazing. I love these guys. In fact, did I even mention that they're free? The service that they offer is totally free. You can literally just call them up right now and just say, hey, Ron told me to call you to see if you can save me any money. Can you really help out? Yeah. Phone numbers in the description down below or in the pinned comment. You should see it on your screen. Or better yet, hit them up on their website at askchapter.org/Ron. Helping someone you love starts with getting the right support. So while Gavin Newsom was ignoring the fires in his own backyard, President Trump was dealing with a different kind of fire. This fire was 7,000 miles away, under layers and layers of reinforced concrete inside of Iran. Now, let's not sugarcoat it, guys. This wasn't just another foreign policy move. This was the largest coordinated U.S. airstrike in modern military history. And it was launched because enough was enough. After months and months of escalations, cyber attacks, credible intelligence that Iran had accelerated its nuclear enrichment efforts way beyond the prior limits, President Trump, he made a decision. He made a decision that many thought would never happen. He struck first, and not with a tweet, not with sanctions, not with strong worded statements, with bunker busting force. In fact, here's what the mainstream media will not walk you through. This was not a symbolic flyby. This was a precision engineered, multi-phase, clockwork coordinated strike that only the United States of America could have pulled off. You had 7 B-2 stealth bombers launched from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, silent, radar evading, and armed with 30,000-pound bunker busters. You had 125 additional U.S. aircrafts deployed in support, surveillance, refueling, electronic jamming, and fire escort. Over 30 Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired from a U.S. submarine in the Persian Gulf, navigating terrain, adjusting course mid-flight, and striking with pinpoint accuracy. The target? It was Iran's three most hardened nuclear facilities, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Because each of these sites, they were deep underground, surrounded by reinforced bunkers, buried under mountains of rock and concrete, but they were specifically built to withstand almost any kind of attack. But President Trump didn't care about what they were built for. He cared about what they were hiding, and he made sure that they would never function again. The payload, let's talk about those bombs for a second, okay? Because these weren't some ordinary explosives. These are massive ordnance penetrators, what the military calls earthquake bombs. Each one weighs 30,000 pounds, with over 5,500 pounds of high-density explosive payload and a steel casing that's thick enough to pierce through 100-plus feet of reinforced concrete before detonating deep below the surface. These bombs don't explode on contact. They wait until they've reached the center of the structure, and then they unleash their full fury from within. So guys, the goal isn't to collapse a building. The goal is to erase its existence from underground. And this is what happened in Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. Now check this out. Here's the genius of it all, because there were a lot of intelligent coordination that was behind this, okay? The operation actually began around midnight with decoy stealth bombers heading west over the Pacific. Meanwhile, the red bombers, they flew east with minimal comms and no transponders. And near total radio silence. They entered Iranian airspace at 6 p.m. Eastern time. 40 minutes later, bombs were dropped, targets hit, mission locked. Simultaneously, a U.S. submarine launched a barrage of Tomahawk missiles, ensuring multiple impact points and confusion for Iranian defenses. Within a 90-minute window, America reminded the world who controls the sky within 90 minutes. And all of this refueled 3 times midair. Round trip, total duration, 37 hours. But it isn't over, guys. Now that Iran has suffered a massive direct hit to its nuclear capability, everybody knows what's coming next. Retaliation, right? And so this is why every U.S. base across the Middle East, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia is on high alert. And not just for traditional airstrikes. The Pentagon is watching for drone swarms, proxy rocket attacks, cyber attacks targeting infrastructure, naval harassment in the Strait of Hormuz, even retaliatory strikes on soft military targets, aircraft, fuel depots, satellite arrays. And here's where it ties back to Gavin Newsom and California's collapse. Because when the world sees chaos at home, it emboldens them abroad. When LA is burning and police are ordered to stand down, when anti-ICE riots rage through the streets and there's no accountability, well, when the largest state in America looks more like a failed city-state than a functioning republic, our enemies take notes. Iran's not blind. They watched California allow mobs to destroy property with no consequences. They watched Gavin Newsom slam federal law enforcement while coddling criminals. They watched sanctuary city policies turn entire zip codes into lawless zones. And they asked themselves, if that's how America governs at home, are they really ready for war abroad? But let's just go ahead and put it plainly, guys. What happens in California does not stay in California anymore. When leadership collapses in LA, it makes New York, DC, Jerusalem, and Tapai look very vulnerable by association. So when governors like Gavin Newsom spend more time virtue signaling than governing, the message to foreign adversaries is rather simple. Now is the time to strike. They're too distracted. They're too divided. They're too weak. You see what I'm saying here? So here's the most tragic part about this. It didn't have to be this way because Mel Gibson warned them. Citizens warned them. Law enforcement warned them. Even moderate Democrats warned them. But Gavin Newsom, he ignored it all. So let me ask you a very serious question. How many warnings does it take? Seriously, serious question. How many fires? How many riots? How many criminals walking free while decent people suffer before the American people finally say enough? Because Gavin Newsom wasn't just warned, he was begged by law enforcement, by working class Californians, by parents, business owners, even people from his own party who saw the signs long before this week's global flashpoint. And yes, even by Mel Gibson himself, in a moment that's now echoing louder than anybody ever expected. But he ignored all of them. And now, here we are. It's almost surreal how different the leadership looks today, depending upon where you stand. I mean, we've got President Donald J. Trump commanding the most powerful military strike in recent history. Precision, purpose, strength. And on the other side, you got Gavin Newsom, who can't even control the streets of his own cities. But let's be brutally honest here, guys. President Trump just crippled 3 of Iran's nuclear sites buried under rock and steel. Gavin Newsom can't even keep Los Angeles safe from a 1,000-person illegal warehouse rave. And that's not just a leadership gap. It's a collapse of credibility. President Trump sending stealth bombers 7,000 miles across the globe. Gavin Newsom can't send cops 7 blocks into a burning neighborhood. You see the comparison that I'm trying to make here, guys? And now that Iran is threatening retaliation, well, Trump's ready. He's reinforcing U.S. bases. He's got generals on standby. He's protecting our men and women in uniform. But Newsom, the heck is he doing? I'm sorry. He's busy posting press releases, tweeting slogans, and still pretending that everything's fine because that's all he's ever done. Now, here's where it gets really dangerous, because weakness doesn't just stay local anymore. Guys, it's 2025. It spills over. It invites chaos. When criminals roam free in LA with no consequences, when police are told to stand down, when sanctuary policies turn entire cities into lawless havens, it sends a message to our enemies. America's distracted, disorganized, divided. They won't even protect their own streets. They're not ready for us. And so Iran moves, China watches, Russia tests, and every cartel, trafficker, and terror network on earth takes one step closer to our doorstep. And because of what started in places like California, because strong nations are built from strong states, and California under Newsom, it's a crumbling liability. But here is where the tide begins to turn, because believe it or not, California is actually waking up. Last November, 10 counties flipped red, even with the media working overtime to suppress the shift. Trump received more votes in California than any GOP candidate in a generation. Oh, and working class, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens who have been silent for years, they're not silent anymore, guys. Enter Steve Hilton. This isn't just some career politician. This is a no-nonsense, pro-freedom, pro-order voice who's had enough. And he's not running a campaign that's built on fantasy. He is offering a reality check. $3 gas, not $8. Safe neighborhoods, not anarchy. Rule of law, not activist chaos. Jobs and small business growth, not tech cronyism and climate extremism. And most importantly, a government that protects you, not lectures you, taxes you, or betrays you. And here's the part nobody saw coming. This revolution was not sparked by a political ad. It wasn't some PAC or party machine. It was a man, alone, on camera, speaking raw truth about what millions of Americans were afraid to say out loud. Mel Gibson's video didn't go viral because he's famous. It went viral because he spoke what every honest American has been screaming in silence. Why are these people still in power? Why aren't we safe anymore? Why do we feel like strangers in our own country? His message cut past all of the noise, past party lines, past Hollywood filters, and it landed right in the heart of a country that's It landed right in the heart of a country that's done being done wrong and being ignored. And that video, guys, it didn't just break the internet. It broke silence. And so it's now being replayed inside the halls of the White House because President Trump's team knows what Mel Gibson said. It was a lot more than just outrage. It was truth. And the truth spreads a whole lot faster than lies, right? Especially when people are ready to listen. Newsom ignored the fires. He ignored the riots. He ignored the people. He ignored the warnings. And now Newsom is running out of time. California isn't just angry, it's awake. And in 2026, it may finally break free from the lie that safety, success, and sovereignty must be sacrificed for ideology. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've had enough, if you're ready to stop the rot, if you believe Mel Gibson was right to call it out, then guys, this is your moment. Like this video, share it with someone who still believes the lie that California is fine. I want you to drop a comment and tell me, do you think Gavin Newsom should still be in office? And do you agree with what Mel Gibson said? And most of all, make your voice louder than the chaos, okay? Because no one's coming to save us, but we can still save each other. And it starts with telling the truth. It starts with sharing the truth and voting out those who ignored it. This isn't just politics anymore, guys. This is a fight for the soul of our country. I'll see you on the next one.